Michelle Hall. So excited to be on and talking to you another time. Well, family, I am excited about doing this particular podcast today. This podcast is titled Frustrated. Frustrated. How many of us are frustrated? We're just unbothered. We are just tired. We are so over it. So many things in life. We're just over it. Situations. We're just kind of over it. And sometimes we get a little out of pocket, I would say. We get a little agitated. There's some agitation that comes with the frustration, and we are wondering what's up. Like, listen, I'm just tired of this right now. And then when you start getting just a little bit frustrated, what ends up happening is you get even more frustrated with little situations. So little situations become big frustrations, and those big frustrated situations now cause you to respond off to the little situations. Am I talking to somebody? Or is it just me? I know it's not just me because it's happening all over. I have conversations with friends and strangers. We just have certain conversations and people are just frustrated. They're frustrated with certain things and frustrated in where life is going. All of you know that I am a Christian. I'm a born again Christian. And so I know in my life and some things in my walk, I'm just sharing this with you. But everyone, whether you are a Christian or not, you are frustrated with certain things. Certain things just get under your skin. Well, let me tell you how I came up with this particular podcast. I had to travel to New York unexpectedly. And in my travels, in order to do that, that meant I actually flew standby, right? So unexpectedly, I had to travel. It was a quick trip. So I was traveling on what we call the buddy pass, right? So I am now going on this trip, and I'm grateful to have this opportunity, but I just wanted to make sure I made it to New York. So I was actually heading to a funeral, and that funeral was on that, I want to say it was that Wednesday. So I was trying to travel that Monday so that I could make sure I had time to get there and not miss it, right? Well, I leave my first destination, and I'm told I have to make a stop first and then get on the next flight. Well, guess what, y'all? Let me tell you what happened. Got to the next location. When I got to the next location, all flights are full. So, I wasn't quite frustrated then because it was an expectation. I kind of expected that, but I thought that once I got on the first flight, I did not expect that when I got to the second location that I would have to do it again. I kind of forgot that. I really thought that once I got on that first flight, that meant I was en route to my final destination. But it was me. I didn't understand the parameters that I was stepping into. I'm going somewhere with this, y'all. Okay? I didn't understand the parameters I was stepping into. So when I got there and got that clear understanding, I was like, okay, so there is a possibility that I might have to spend the night in this particular airport. So I assessed the situation. So now I'm just trying to tell y'all, because we get this the frustration doesn't start at the first thing. And I think that's what happens to us. The frustration didn't start at the first incident. The first incident was just like I kind of had an expectation that there were going to be some adversity, some adverse things. So I think that's why with frustration, we as people, we don't usually respond to that beginning thing. Because we expect that there's some adversity. We expect that we have to stand through some things. We expect that we have to turn that smile upside down. Like you tell me, we expect that sometimes we have to encourage ourselves. We also expect that there are times that we have to encourage others. We kind of expect those things. We kind of expect things don't always go the way that we plan at the right time, at that moment in time. So I'm just telling you, so I was at that time. So I was just like, okay, we're going to work this out. I began to think about my options. So I looked at some other flights. Other flights were full. Everything else. Finally got someone to assist me. When I get to that point to get assisted, when I get on that particular place, that person was like, okay, I'll help you. But her coworker was like, this is not your area. You need to go back over there. And she was so rude. But the coworker said I would help her. I still didn't get upset. I just smiled. I said, yes, I do understand that, but I'm asking you to help me. Y'all, situation number 2. Okay, so now situation number 2, and I'm in an airport that the air condition is really low and it's a really hot day, and so I guess that was number 2 frustration. So now number 3, that was a third frustration, a really rude person at that gate, at that part. And so now even with that, my smile was there. I said, but I just was hoping to get some help. And the other lady looked at me. She says, ma'am, I'm going to help you. And I told you I will help you. So I smiled, right? So yeah, listen, y'all, you think this story's going to go one way. I'm telling you, it's going a different way. So finally I get there. I'm smiling. I'm a little frustrated. I'm a little annoyed. I'm a little concerned. I'm hot. When I get hot, y'all over 40, sometimes you get hot. Listen. I'm just going to leave it right there. Catch it if you got it. If you don't have that part, you don't have it. But understand, when you get to a certain point, sometimes, women over 40, it's like the heat. You have this whole thing going on. So there's another added layer of frustration, right? So now, but my attitude is still right. I'm like, okay, we got to get there. It's going to work out. Well, that person tells me, yes, you go to gate 63. Mind you, guys, I'm nowhere near 63. Okay, just understand. All right, no problem. I put a smile on my face. I get ready. I start walking, and I walk. And this place has no one to help you, nothing for you to jump on, no kind of transportation. It doesn't have an air tran where you can jump on and just get to that location. It's none of that. The closest thing they have is these moving sidewalks. So I'm like, okay, I'm still smiling. Guess what I'm smiling at? I was like, okay, Michelle, you have been going hard on your health and wellness journey. And look, maybe a couple of years ago with your knee injury, you weren't able to walk this, but now you can walk this. Oh, Michelle, you are in better shape than you've been in a long time, and you can get through this. So I start speaking to myself and not having a bad attitude. So the frustration kind of went down a little bit. So I kept walking and I'm sweating. Imagine, I kept walking and I'm sweating, and I'm walking and I'm sweating, and I'm talking to myself because that frustration is trying to come right up. It's trying to get this, my attitude is trying to affect my attitude. But I said, no, get up, Michelle, keep going. So I thank God I stopped being, thank God, Holy Spirit. Listen, I'm born again believer, like I said, so I trust God in everything. So while I'm walking, I'm also talking to God, and God tells me, stop and check the gate and make sure, just to make sure the gate hasn't changed. Well, I stopped. The gate for the flight number I was given had changed, and it was, and when I looked at it, it seemed to be to another location. So when they switched the gate, I realized, I said, no, for this flight, the flight I'm trying to go on is back to where I was. Mind you, y'all, I have just walked down 20 to 30 gates. Okay? I have to turn back. Now I'm frustrated. Now frustration has gone to another point. I turn around and I start to walk back. And then as I was walking back, I got really upset. I'm hot. I don't believe this, everything else. And then all of a sudden I start to think again. I said, you know what? At least I found out. At least I get there. All of these things. And it doesn't seem like at that moment my positive attitude was paying off. And can I tell you, like, y'all, I know y'all been in situations like this where you like, I've done the right thing. I'm trying to have the right attitude. All the things. I've been studying my word. I've been spending time with God. I've been doing all those things. I've been listening. I've been doing what I'm supposed to do. But listen, my patience is drawn thin. I'm a little upset. And I'm trying to keep going, but I'm upset. I'm frustrated. I am full-blown frustrated. I am sweating. I am glistening. Anybody know anything about me from the time I was little? I do not like to really sweat. I don't like that look. I don't like that whole thing. And now I'm walking through a hot airport looking not the way I want to look. I'm sweating, and I still don't have a confirmation that I am getting on the flight that I need to get on. And then I said, Michelle, being upset is not going to stop you. It's not going to stop the fact. It's not going to change the fact that you have to still get there. That thing hit me. So I can be as frustrated, I can be as upset, I can be all those things. But if I stopped right where I was in my frustration, in my upsetment, in all of those things, guess what? I would not have ever been able to continue walking. I would sit there pouting. I would sit there complaining. I would sit there being like, it's wrong. This wasn't right. This is crazy. The woman put me on the wrong flight. Oh yeah, I forgot to drop that. So the woman that did try to help me, she did try to help me. She helped me, but she inverted the numbers on the flight and actually booked me going to Orlando when I was trying to get to New York. Huh? Listen. Isn't that what happens in life? We think we're en route to one location. We have prepared to get to that location. We got everything together to get us up to get to that location and everything else. And boom, a little mistake, a little mishap, a little offsetment, something that didn't seem to work out, come together now has switched. And one little flip, one little, what I thought quotation marks, I'm doing the air quotes, a mistake gets me on another flight, and I'm en route in a total different direction, and I'm supposed to be okay with it? No, y'all. I was frustrated. Yeah, frustrated. And so now I have to walk these miles in sweating. I finally get to the gate. Now listen, y'all. As soon as I walk to the gate, I mean literally, as soon as I got to the area, I hear over the loudspeaker, "This flight is full. There are no further spaces, no more spaces on this flight. Anyone that was on standby for this flight has been rolled over to the next flight." Y'all, when I tell you my health countenance, I'm still hot. The flight has rolled over, it's full. And guess what? On top of that, I wasn't even on the flight because the person put me on a flight to Orlando. Mistake. Quotation marks, air quotes. I walk up to the counter. Now I have every reason to be teed off. I have every reason to be teed off, right? And I get to the counter. I'm sweating. My face is looking. And I looked at this lady and I was like, I hope you can help me. I tell her my whole story, and she looks at me. She has this very serious face on her, and she's looking at me. She's like, "What happened? What?" "Well, okay, yeah, this flight's full. Okay, what? We should fire them. That person, she put you on the wrong flight. Let's fire her." And she was so serious. You know what? I'm going to call right now. We need to fire her. And I said, "Oh, no. Immediately, even in my frustration. "Oh, no. Listen, she tried to help. She just made a mistake. But what I need to know is, how do I get to New York? And I don't know what to do." And then she busted out laughing. She says, "I don't have the authority to fire anybody. I have no authority to fire anybody." She started laughing. She said, "But you still had the right attitude. You still wanted to help her. You still understood that she tried to help you. And you look this one." And she said, pointedly, this woman is cool. She's the real deal, because she could have gone ham on that other person, but she didn't. She chose to do something different. The only reason why I chose to do something different is once God let me know that my frustration, my agitation, all of that, and my complaining, anything else, I still had to continue to get to New York. It didn't matter that I happened to be at that moment, at that exact moment in time, I was scheduled to go to Orlando when I'm supposed to be in New York. But I had to make my way back to New York. You get it? I got to make my way back to New York. But I'm scheduled to Orlando. And I can either I get puffed up, I get agitated, I can have an attitude, I can just be mad that I'm hot, which is, by the way, over 40, that's enough reason. Sometimes enough reason to be agitated. If you catch it, you don't. All right. So then after that, the lady now turns out to be God sent. Guess what she does? She says, "You know what? There's a flight that's going to Pittsburgh. I think it was Pittsburgh. It's going to Pittsburgh, but it's totally wide open. And then then you get another flight from Pittsburgh, and it's going to take you to LaGuardia Airport. And mind you, I had to be at an event for 6 p.m. that evening because it was, my spiritual mom, she was like my other mom. It was her birthday, and I wanted to meet her for dinner, and it was so in my heart to at least try to do that. And I left from in the morning to hoping to be able to do it, and here it was another level of frustration, right? So she said, it should get you in New York by 5:40 something. All right, family. So guess what? It should get me in New York she said by 5:30. I said, okay. See, I could have been frustrated that now I've already taken a flight to this airport. I was only supposed to take 2 flights to get to New York. This flight I took one to this airport, took one to another airport, Pittsburgh, from Pittsburgh to New York, 3 flights, everything else. I could have been frustrated. I could have been annoyed. I could have been all of those things, but I chose not to be. Not only did it work out in my favor, the flights were comfortable. She found seats. One of them was one of those huge planes. I had the space in between me. I had the leg room. It was great. Everything that I needed was there and great, and it was all that I needed. So I'm so excited that I was so able to do just what I needed to do. What I share all that is, and I did make the flight, yes. Get on both flights, yes, I did. Did I get off in New York? Yes, I did. Was my cousin ready to be there to pick me up right on time? Yes, she did. Did she just put in the GPS of the restaurant and I got there? By the time I got there, my spiritual mom and family, everybody was already sitting there. They had appetizers. I was just in time for dinner, fellowshipped, had a great time, and the frustration was gone. Now, if I had focused on being frustrated and focusing on the process and why is this happening and everything else, I would have never walked into that. Listen, why I'm sharing it with you is something so practical, right? Something so practical. There are some things that you are frustrated about. Frustrated because the way that you want to go, you can't go. Even the way that that you are purposed to go, it seems like everything is going against what you're purposed to do. But like I told my goddaughter, I had this conversation today. I said, what I love about it is once you recognize your purpose permeates every area. It permeates every single thing. So you find purpose in whatever you're walking into. And not only find purpose, when you walk into purpose, erects itself on the inside of you. So as you are growing in your journey in this thing called life and knowing who you are as a person, recognize who you are, have the right attitude, walk through some things, and watch God pull you through like never before. I just had to stop to encourage you all today. I'm not going to keep going, but this is frustrated. The answer to being frustrated is take a minute, take a breath, acknowledge God, recognize it's the process, and then the next thing is, what do I do next? What's the end result? What's my end destination? Let me move towards that. See, because if I stopped walking, what if I sat there and got mad or stopped back at the person that put me on the wrong flight and started yelling at her and getting upset and what did you do and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, you messed me up. I would have been stuck in that airport and I would have been frustrated even the more. I would have never made the dinner. I most likely would have gotten to New York, but I would have been even more frustrated. And that is the plan of the enemy, to frustrate you out of your miracle, to frustrate you out of your purpose, to frustrate you out of your promise, to frustrate you of living the most abundant life that God has planned for you. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. This is the LV podcast with Michelle Hall. Pray and hope it blesses you. Remember, go through your day, your week in victory, knowing that God can do anything but fail. Yep, God can do anything but fail.